All right, hello everyone, and welcome to SCO's September webinar on the Hayes Center for Practice Excellence and Life After Optometry School. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. My name is Avery Cunningham. I am a Student Services and Admissions Officer here at SCO. I am one of the admissions team members who answers your admissions questions and participates in the admissions process. Before we get started, I ask that we all use proper Zoom etiquette by keeping microphones muted unless speaking, limiting background noise, and respecting all of this webinar's attendees and facilitators. We'll have time for questions towards the end of the webinar, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns that need immediate attention, please use the chat feature at the bottom or top of your screen to communicate with us. So today you're going to be learning all about the Hayes Center, as I mentioned, but you're also going to be hearing from a couple of alumni who will be talking at the end about their experience preparing or transitioning, I should say, from being a student in optometry school to being an optometrist. And we're going to be starting off with Dr. Lisa Wade, who is the director for the Hayes Center of Practice Excellence. And with that, Dr. Wade, if you'd like to introduce yourself real quickly, then we'll get started.
Okay, thank you, Avery, and welcome to everyone and to our young alums who are also going to join us and share their journey with you. My name is Dr. Lisa Wade. I'm a 1984 graduate of Southern College of Optometry, completed my residency in 1985, and since 1985 have held a variety of positions on and off at SCO. So I've been at the college over 40 plus years. So have a little bit of history with SCO and experience with how we guide our students towards, as we call optometry in the wild, what happens after graduation takes place. So Avery, if you want to switch. Thank you. So the Hayes Center was founded in 2005 by an alumnus, Dr. Jerry Hayes. He is a 1973 graduate of SCO and his wife, Chris. Dr. Hayes is a very unique individual in that he was a true visionary in teaching ODs not only providing the tools for us to brand and market our practice, but teaching us how to do it and teaching generations of ODs how to be much more successful at the business side of their practice. It's great to be a wonderful OD, but it does take some aptitude at managing the business to pay the bills, pay your staff, buy equipment, keep the doors open for providing patient care. And he has had a number of entities throughout the years that he began to assist ODs in that arena. The Hayes Center, we're very, very fortunate in that we are a recognized National Center of Excellence in this area. We, not to brag, but it goes with, there's no peer that we have really in terms of the breadth and depth of services that we provide not only to our students, but to our alumni and to our residents in helping guide them on their optometric journey and finding what the practice of their dreams will be and helping them actualize what we talk a lot about what is your why. And I want each of you all to think about why is it that you are choosing optometry as a career? And what is it that ultimately what do you ultimately want the expression of that work, dedication, and education to be? Private practice, solo practice, partnership practice, academic practice, in a VA? What is it that you want and why are you doing this? And so we spend a lot of time talking with our students, also our alumni, and helping to guide them on their optometric journey because we really want to help you answer your why so that you have not only a successful career, but you have an enormous amount of enjoyment from the work and education that you have put into pursuing optometry. Next. The Hayes Center offers a variety of resources and activities to our students, to our residents, and also to our alumni. Networking is absolutely critical to your success as a practicing OD. And that really is regardless of the modality or path that you choose to take in optometry. It's a little bit interesting. You'll hear us talk all the time about how small a profession we are. And even though there are 47-ish thousand practicing ODs, we are a very small profession. And you will be amazed that throughout your optometric career, how many of the practicing optometrists that you come in contact with, you form relationships with through your continuing education, through your activities at the state or national level in optometric organizational activities. Because when you compare there's 1.4 million practicing physicians, there's 4.5 million practicing nurses. We are a very, very small profession. So networking is very, very important to not only your time as a student, but particularly becomes extremely important as you make that transition from student to the eye care marketplace. We offer a variety of opportunities, again, for our students, our residents, and our alumni throughout the academic career or year to facilitate networking. One such activity is actually happening this Friday. We have our alumni meet and greet during homecoming. We expect upwards of 350 optometrists back for their class reunions and for continuing education. And as of last check this morning, we had 65 optometrists from 35 states, I believe, participating in our alumni meet and greet on campus. So it's a great opportunity and a very low risk opportunity for students to meet individuals from potentially their home state, from states where they think they might want to practice, or to just practice those networking skills. We also host events at upwards of 25 state association meetings a year, all of our National Optometric Association meetings, as well as many of the regional optometric association meetings that take place. So there are an enormous amount of opportunities for you to do what we call the grip and grin and meet fellow ODs for, again, friendship, clinical consulting, but also maybe as an opportunity to find a position in the profession. We offer lunch and learns. That's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to skip a few of these because I'm going to come back and talk about them in more detail. The Student Innovation Awards are something that is, we're in our third year this year, and it's something we're very excited about. We put out a call to students to come up with their best ideas for innovation in the eye care space. And we've already had 1 patent and 2 products come to market, and students submit their ideas. We kind of have a initial round of judges that go through the submissions, and the finalists present at a Shark Tank event with judges from a variety of industry, faculty, other students, and we provide a $5,000 award to the student who has the greatest innovation idea. Let's see. Let's talk a minute about OPC, or Optometric Private Practice Club. That's an entity that most schools do have a private practice club, although I will say we traditionally have had the most significant participation of our student body. We have at any one time around 600 students enrolled in our 4 years of optometric education, and at any one time probably 420 of those are participating in the Optometric Private Practice Club. This group brings industry leaders, optometric organizational leaders to campus for lectures, for workshops on, again, how to understand, how to become more successful in the business aspects of practice. We are also a partner with the AOA Center for Independent Practice, something that we're very, very proud of. There are only 5 schools that are partner institutions with the AOA. And again, we participate in a lot of their activities as well in the promotion of private and independent optometric practice. Next, Avery. You're very fortunate as a student at SCO that we have a board of trustees that also grasps the importance of not just preparing you for the clinical side of what we do, but for the business side of what we do. We offer more hours in practice management than any other school or college of optometry in the country. And we do that through a variety of in-class as well as extracurricular activities. Beginning in your first year, you have Optometric Practice 1 and Practice 2. And these courses look at the history and evolution of the profession of optometry, our place in the U.S. healthcare system, the organization and legislative initiatives that are taking place in optometry. What is optometry's role? How is it evolving as a primary healthcare provider in today's healthcare marketplace? What are the different modes of practice that are available to you? Understanding HIPAA, healthcare ethics. How do you do appropriate and legally appropriate record keeping? So a lot of different topics that are covered in those 2 courses. But when we reach 3rd year, that is where we begin to really focus on the nuts and bolts of practice strategies and operations. We have instruction on personal and practice finances. How do you write a business plan? How do you establish and what is the best legal structure for your optometric practice? We do a full month on hiring, firing, managing, promoting, job descriptions, all things related to human resources, branding, marketing, inventory management. What are the taxes you have to pay? What are the insurance products that you need to purchase to protect you and your staff? How do you decide which insurance and managed care products you want to participate in as a provider? Which of those actually are financially viable or maybe more problematic to you? How do you finance a practice versus buying a practice versus starting a practice cold? And a variety of many topics in addition to those. But then towards the end of the 3rd year, we spend quite a bit of time on how do you determine your compensation. One of the things that we want to make sure is that you are being compensated appropriately for the work that you're providing, again, regardless of what modality of practice you may be in. And we spend a lot of time on contracts. What are they? What should be included? And how do you negotiate your contracts? Next. Focus on Your Future is what we call an extracurricular set of programs that take place throughout the year for all 4 years of students. These are offered normally on Wednesday mornings, where OPP meets after classes in the evening. Focus on Your Future is something that actually takes place during the day. You may or may not be aware that every second Wednesday, we have mornings off from classes and clinics for various programmatic activities, and that is when Focus on Your Future takes place. Some of the things that we do during then is do disc assessment training. We have a program on what we call practice modalities, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have 11 to 14 ODs from various practice modalities come in and talk about the good, the bad, and the quote unquote ugly of the way that they practice optometry. Lots of opportunities for you to network with those individuals as well as asking them questions. Many of you all, I'm guessing, probably are familiar with only a very limited array of how you can practice optometry. And you may be very surprised at all the opportunities there are out in the real world for you with an optometric education. Let me go back to the DISC assessment a minute. Many of you all may have taken a DISC, or you may have had a Myers-Briggs, which is a similar sort of test. But during the first year, you will take a DISC assessment in between the time of acceptance and enrollment. So prior to stepping foot on campus, you will have done a DISC assessment. During the first year, we spend a lot of time with you on understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, so that you have the opportunity to build on those as you become a professional. And as you learn to communicate, particularly as a professional, in the third year, we sort of turn that around a little bit and use the DISC assessment as a teaching tool of how do you assess someone else's behavioral strengths and weaknesses, and how do you interact with an individual to improve patient communication, and ultimately, we hope your level of optometric care. Because if people don't listen, they don't understand, they're not engaged with you in your communication as a healthcare provider, the likelihood is they are not as likely to be as compliant with the course of care that you are offering to them. Next. Career counseling. This is something we think we do exceptionally well. As I mentioned, during the first and second years, there's lots of things happening. We have financial literacy, behavioral assessments, focus on your future events, OPP, lunch and learns, networking, and we are available in the Hayes Center at any time in first and second year for walk-in career counseling. We are available to all of you all. You have our phone numbers, our emails from the very first day that you're on campus, so that you should never hesitate that you have a question or want information about, what's happening optometry, that you would reach out to one of us in the Hayes Center. But after second year, we become very, very intentional in working with you on helping you to find the practice of your dreams. Every third year student meets with Mr. Mike McKeever, who is also in the Hayes Center. During the third year class, some of the deliverables that you will have, we will help you prepare your professional resume. We will work with you to get your LinkedIn page up and active, as well as have some professional photography taken that you can utilize on that page, or for headshots that you need going forward. And also on Optometry's Practice Connection, the placement page that you will utilize during your fourth year. As a fourth year student, every student meets with me individually. Again, time is running a lot shorter towards graduation. Students need to become more intentional. We become much more specific about what networking strategies that they're utilizing, what is the pathway that they believe is in their future in terms of how they want to practice optometry, and how do we get them on that pathway successfully. And we also do a lot of contract reviews during that time. Next. Bon Voyage is a program that we have during the third year. It happens the second Wednesday in April. It is one of our focus on your future programs, but it is a very specific focus on your future program for third year students. Dr. Hayes normally comes back, and he is our keynote speaker, and we hear from our Hayes Practice of Excellence Award winners. You're actually going to meet one of them today, Dr. Tina Schiller. She's one of the young ODs that we have. And the Hayes Practice of Excellence Awards are the only type of awards in optometry that recognize excellence in private practice by young ODs. We give 3 awards each year. It is a rather involved application process. Students have to submit narratives on their optometric journey, what they've learned, how they came to practice ownership. They have to submit 2 years of their financials, their staff meeting notes, lots of different things. A panel of judges look at those, and we select one winner in each of 3 categories: a young alum who has started a practice cold, a young alum who's in a partnership situation, and a young alum who has acquired an optometric practice. So we spend the morning that you get to hear from those 3 young alumni on their practice journey. It's much more interesting for you to hear from them oftentimes than from me about what really happens boots on the ground of how they have made their optometric dreams come true. The afternoon of Bon Voyage is spent on guiding you towards what is getting ready to happen during the 4th year. You're going to have 2 externships experiences away from campus and 1 internship experience on campus during your 4th year. We spend a lot of time talking to you, have students that have recently come back from externship talk to you about how to make the most of that experience. If you are considering applying for a residency after graduation, what are the things you need to be doing during your 4th year to make you a successful residency applicant? We also have a lot of industry partners that come and talk to you about, what is happening in the profession to help you get a feel for the world that you are very quickly coming to operate in. Next. OPC, or Optometry's Practice Connection. This is something we are extremely, extremely proud of. It operates much like Match.com. You, as a seeker, put in your information and parameters of what you're looking for. We have providers from across the country. Right now, we have currently over 2,000 opportunities listed on OPC for SCO students, residents, and alumni to look at. They put in about their practice, what they're looking for, what characteristics, what their pay is, what their practice modality may be, what their specialty areas are, and we have an algorithm that will match you with those practices. And you get notification of those on an ongoing basis. So one of the things, as I mentioned, during the 3rd year, you will work with Mr. McKeever to get your OPC page ready for public viewing so that ODs can learn about you as they are looking for associates, partners, or people to potentially purchase their practices. And let me say that OPC is not something that is just available to students. Again, our residents have access to this. Our alumni have access to this, and you have access to this throughout your life, and it is free of charge to you. One of the things that is very unique about OPC is not only is it free of charge to seekers, it is free of charge to providers. Most job boards in optometry charge providers anywhere from $400 to $1,200 a listing. And that is one of the reasons that we have been so successful in being able to grow this into the largest job board in optometry, because we don't feel that providers ought to have to pay to find a great match for an associate or a partner or a purchaser. So a great resource to you, and really the envy of the profession that's out there. Next, Avery. Contract reviews. I mentioned this briefly just a moment ago, and I want to just dwell on this. I can't tell you how often I get comments from students, from residents, from practicing ODs about our service with this. We have reviewed more OD employment contracts than any entity in the U.S. And I don't say that lightly. There are a few individuals out there on social media and in different optometric, what's the word I'm looking for? Like consulting firms that advertise that they do contract reviews, and they do, and I have no doubt that they do an exceptional job. But most of them at a minimum charge $500 to have this done. Again, this is a free service to our students, residents, and alumni throughout their optometric career. And where one of those individuals, I spoke to one of them at a national meeting, and I asked him about how many contracts he reviewed the previous year, and he told me 45. Well, I reviewed 250 contracts that same year. So I promise you, we are very knowledgeable about what is happening in the optometric marketplace. And people look to us. I have a lot of people outside of our alumni beg me to do this for them. We do not do it for them, but it is a tremendous service. And we added probably well over $1.5 million to the class of 2025 that just graduated to their compensation packages because of the review and negotiating tools that we provide for them. And again, because we know what is appropriate in the marketplace. And the reality is many people who may be hiring an OD are doing that for the first time, and they don't know what is appropriate in the marketplace. So not only are we helping you, but we're helping to educate the marketplace. And our reality is that on average, 85% of our students who do not go immediately into a residency are looking to enter private practice. So this is a very, very important benefit that we provide through the Hayes Center. Next. So you've heard me talk a ton about focus on independent or private practice. Why is that? We believe that private practice is the lifeblood of our profession, that everything we have as a profession, everything that we can do as an practicing OD, everything that will ever happen to us as a profession is at the effort of independent private practice ODs. These are the individuals who care about what is happening in our profession, the individuals who are willing to dedicate their time and treasure for practice expansion, to fight against issues that would harm us at the state or federal level. And if we are not protective of independent practice, we will not have the profession that we know as optometry today. Additionally, we believe that independent practice allows for patient-centered care, that you do not have overriding entities demanding how many patients you're seeing an hour, putting a limit on the types of services that you can provide to any patient. It allows you to maximize your training and utilize all the skills that you have been trained as an optometrist or may gain in the future. And that allows for improved health outcomes. When an optometrist can practice to the extent of their licensure, they provide better care, which ultimately provides better health outcomes for our patients. It also can enhance access to care. Independent ODs can go where they like. They are not beholden to other entities on where they practice, how they practice. And we know that there is an enormous need in areas for eye care. But because it is not cost effective or deemed a good business decision by some entities to go into those areas, we're having more and more geographic areas that find themselves without needed eye care. And there are enormous opportunities across this country for independent eye care providers to be extremely successful. And again, practice at their top of their game, practice at what they were trained to do. And again, the importance of professional autonomy, that you get to decide what type of care your patient is getting, when they're getting it, how they're getting it, and not having interference by some third party in that process. Next. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that there is also a financial reward to being an independent optometrist. If you come to SCO, you'll see this chart a lot of times. I show it a lot. You can see that over time, the opportunity for wealth creation, wealth building is infinitely, not infinitely, but significantly higher for independent OD owners than it is for employed ODs. That we believe that having an equity position in an independent practice is the premier way for you not only to practice independently with autonomy at the height of your game, but also the best way for you to be financially successful and reap the biggest return on your investment in optometric education. Because not only are you earning dollars as providing care, you also have an asset that is gaining in value over time, that you have an asset that at the end of your career, you can then sell to a partner, to another OD, to help you in wealth creation at a time of your life when you might like to be retiring and enjoying the fruits of your many years of optometric practice. Next. And again, you can read this, but as you can imagine, the AOA, again, is very focused on supporting, promoting, and strengthening independent practice in the United States. Next. So, what are the paths to private practice? Most individuals pursue, these days, right out of school, pursue employment as what we would call an associate OD, that they are employed by a practice to provide care. Over time, many of those associates, most of those associates, will move into one of two avenues of optometric practice. They will join a practice as a partner, becoming a partner with other ODs, or they may enter solo ownership. And in solo ownership, there's a couple ways to do this. You can do it as a cold start, or you can purchase practice. And it is not uncommon that many optometrists do all of the above. They may have been an associate at one time in their career, then joined as a partner, may have bought out all the other partners. They're now a sole owner. And so they have purchased a practice, but then they may open additional practices, cold starts, or acquiring additional practices. This is I try to get students not to pigeonhole themselves early in their career. Life is long. And the reality is we are in an incredibly dynamic, fluid healthcare marketplace. The world is changing at a pace we've never seen before. And the practice of optometry is going to do the same. And what avenue may suit you 2 years out of school is very unlikely to suit you either professionally, financially, emotionally, personally, 15 years out of school. So it is not uncommon that you can slide through forwards, backwards, through any of these paths to the practice of optometry over your career. Next. And let me say this. Life is long. The practice of optometry, I hope, will be a long and wonderful one for each of you, should you choose to pursue optometry as a profession. If you come to SCO, I do want to tell you that your relationship with us and our goal to meet your needs as a practicing OD do not end at graduation. You have lifelong access to all the resources of the Hayes Centers. You can access OPC. I provide these days almost as many alumni contract reviews as I do student contract reviews. We invite you to participate in any networking event or alumni event that we have, wherever you may see us. As I said, as a local, state, regional, or national association meeting. We offer continuing education both away and on campus every year. We do offer practice consultations in a limited way, as you may be transitioning from ownership or to selling a practice at some point in your career. And we also encourage you that as an SCO alum, should you pursue private practice, that you consider at some point applying for a Hayes Practice of Excellence Awards. Again, we really like to recognize our young alumni who have taken this path and let them be the teachers, let them share their journey with current students at SCO. Next. So, Avery, I think you're taking it away and having conversations with Dr. Young and Dr. Schiller.
Yes, that is correct. This will end our, at least first portion, hearing from Dr. Wade about the Hayes Center for Practice Excellence. We'll have some questions that will be open to all of our webinar participants at the end. But right now we are transitioning to hear directly from a couple of our alumni who have gone through this experience of being a student in optometry school in SCO and going on to find their practice future, so to speak. So we're going to hear real quickly from Dr. Adam Young, class of 2014, and Dr. Tina Schiller, also class of 2014. So if both of you want to real quickly introduce yourselves, and then we'll dive into some questions. And whomever wants to start.
Tina,
I'll go since yep. Oh, and you're gonna, yep, there she is. I'll go first. Hi, I am Tina Schiller. I am a graduate of SCO in 2014 and then residency also at SCO in 2015. I currently practice in the greater Seattle area in Washington. I started a practice cold 3.5, almost 4 years ago, and then almost a year ago acquired a practice where I previously was an associate at. And so I have 3 locations now. I have a partner. So when Dr. Wade was talking about the 3, I have all of the 3 things: started cold, purchased a practice, and I have a partner. So all of those 3 things. And I have 3 kids. And so you'll see one of them if you are looking at my camera.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Schiller.
Dr. Adam Young, class of 2014, classmate of Dr. Schiller. Private practice, my wife and I opened. She also graduated 2014. We've been open now for almost 5 years. Full scope optometry, so whether it's glasses, contact lenses, managing glaucoma, diabetic eye exams, anything you name it, specialty contact lenses, peds, we see it all, do it all. I'll say in terms of preparation, and I'm sure we'll get into some more questions here, but SEO does it better than anybody else. I'll say that from the jump, preparation wise, confidence wise, and it definitely has helped. And SEO has over 10 years now of graduating. SEO has still been family for me, and still close knit, and still always willing to help, and vice versa. It's a two-way street to help you all too.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for joining us. So we're going to start off with some questions. First off, when did you both begin preparing for your career after graduation? For example, when did you start working on your resume, research open positions, etc.? And that can be either in partnership with the Hayes Center through their program and curriculum, or on your own.
You can lead the way, Dr. Schiller.
Okay. So really, that started even first year, because just kind of to piggyback off what Dr. Wade said, the beginning of it is making connections, and that's what SCO is so amazing at, is the the opportunities that SCO provided me from the first year to make connections with not just doctors on staff, but also all of the doctors that that work at SCO, but then all of the alums. And so for me, the preparing for career after graduation started first year. I had a work study job in contact lens, and that led me to develop connections. I joined the OPP club, the private practice club. And one thing just Dr. Young mentioned, I should have mentioned about my practice. I have a specialty practice. So I am pediatric and vision therapy and vision rehabilitation services only. So I joined a club that was called COVD at the time for that. And so for me, it began even in first year and just making connections. That's also the reason I went to SCO, because that was evident from me from the beginning. And so it started right then.
For myself, I agree the same. First year, I think I can't remember. It's been so long, but I feel like you had to do a resume to even apply to SEO, and that could be changed now. But I've had a resume from the beginning, and then just over the years, whether it's a change in GPA, whether it's a change in extracurricular activities, joining different clubs, every few months later of accomplishing something, you're doing something new, I would update my resume. So, those 4 years of optometry school, I think you definitely will have a working resume. So every semester, essentially, you should be able to change it to your benefit for sure, to highlight, how great of a student and candidate you are. Um, I think also the different clubs, extracurriculars. I think state day was a big thing for me. Just the doctors that come from different states to take time out of their day to meet, to greet, and some of those relationships, hold a lot of weight. I think that's another benefit to SCO as far as their team or network of doctors and alumni is it stays strong. It stays like family. So if there's ever a point where, Joe Hauser might say, "Hey, I got somebody from Georgia. Can you email them?" Sure, why not? I'm always here to help. So that networking is big, and state day for me was a huge one as far as making connections back in my home city, home state.
Great, thank you. Then our next question, how did you discover the right practice environment for you?
We can keep going back and forth. Um, so gosh, for me, so Dr. Young and I, it's been now, 11 years since our graduation. And in those 11 years, it would actually take me a second to count the amount of different positions and practices I've been in. Before I opened my practice cold, I was employed in a variety of different optometric practices and different avenues of practice. So for me, I discovered the right practice environment by jumping into practice, jumping into private practice specifically as an associate, and working in several different practices and finding out what I really liked, what really worked well, and the way that I wanted to practice. I actually knew that I wanted to be in private practice for many of the reasons that Dr. Wade explained. I thought at least that was my goal and that was what I wanted to be in. And I actually had a desire that I wanted to be the owner of my practice or a partner. And so for me, that was always there. But in terms of figuring out exactly how to accomplish that and what I wanted that to look like, it was being employed in multiple different practices for me personally.
I'd say for me, the right practice environment. I'd say after residency, I jumped into to commercial, and it was, a great opportunity just to kind of see how things work in those environments, whether it be fast paced, whether it be more refraction based, and just to try to, I guess, learn how to articulate yourself in an efficient manner, I guess is the best way to say that. But I think at the end of the day, my dream has always been private practice. I knew that as a student at optometry and at SEO. It was just a matter of timing, just setting things up and just making sure that, it made sense for me personally. It made sense for my family. And then, it just made sense in terms of just life and everything that happens. But I think in terms of making those decisions and kind of not having to quote unquote listen to someone else in terms of telling you how to practice and how to make your schedule, I knew private practice was right for me. I like to be my own boss.
Great, thank you. And then what kind of work-life balance were you expecting, and how did your expectations compare with the reality?
I think that's actually I don't know what Dr. Young, how he feels about this, but as a college age, undergraduate age, and then graduate age student, work-life balance, it's a funny concept for me now at this stage in life to think back and answer that question because I honestly don't know at my myself in my early 20s what that looked like for me. So I'll be curious if Dr. Young can say what he thought work-life balance, like what that was expectation of. But actually for me, to answer this question, I chose optometry specifically when I was looking at different healthcare possibilities and trying to figure out what I wanted to do for a lot of reasons. And this is one of them is I chose optometry because of the variety of different ways and specialties and avenues of practice, including I was exposed in my just shadowing that I did before optometry school to optometrists that worked full-time, that worked part-time, including owners that saw patients part-time and full-time and all sorts of different, some that did more management and some that did more patient care. And so I think I feel really lucky to have gotten those experiences to see those different all the different ways that someone could be an optometrist and how they could make it work for them for their work-life balance. So basically, I don't know what my expectation was. I guess that I would have kind of like Dr. Young said. I also like to be my own boss and set my own schedule, and I was excited by the possibility of being able to do that one day. And as you can see right now, I do that. I am off on Mondays completely. I am with my kids on Mondays, and I actually only see patients 2.5 to 3 days max a week. And I have flexibility to set my hours on my schedule. And so I would say that it has matched my expectation, if not exceeded it, actually.
Yeah, for myself, I think optometry, another reason I chose it as well was because of work-life balance. Everything that I've read and seen, whether it's, potentially not being on call, not doing surgeries in that regard. I enjoyed the thought of, seeing patients and going home and enjoying time with my family. I think when I was in a more corporate commercial entity, as an associate doctor or employee, it was for sure go home and not worry about anything, and then next day see patients. And it was just that every day I could, take vacations and not worry about anything. And it was easy. Um, Being a business owner, that changed 180 degrees. My brain does not stop. It's the gift and the curse in terms of trying to be this beast or try to be this great entity of how we take care of patients. We live in a world now, unfortunately, of Google reviews and there's just small things that you just try to do to be perfect as best you can. And I'm kind of a perfectionist to that degree, so I'm always spinning my wheels here as far as how to be better. So as we've gotten, we're almost 5 years old now. So as we've gotten a little bit older, a little bit more established, I think I've been able to wind down things a little bit better, and being able to come home and enjoy time with the family. But there's still some early mornings, sometimes late nights as far as planning, trying to figure out things with staff. But it's been a blessing for sure. I think going into it expectation wise as a business owner, I probably feel like I work a little bit harder than what I thought I would, but I wouldn't change a thing at all because I know to work out in the end. I saw a slide there of potential salary opportunities and wealth, and it's definitely driving in that direction for sure. So I don't want to stop working too hard too soon, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you. And then if I'm understanding what you both shared, this might not be entirely relevant to you all, but I'd still ask anyway. Did you choose to pursue a residency, and why or why not?
I did pursue a residency. My residency is in pediatrics and vision therapy at SCO, and I chose to pursue a residency because by that time I knew that I wanted to be in vision therapy and rehabilitation. And for me, I also share Dr. Young's um, tendencies towards just trying to just constantly being on. And I wanted to be the best prepared that I could. And so I knew that I would be able to get those opportunities through a residency for me in my specialty, since I knew I wanted to go into specialty practice.
Yeah, I also did pursue residency. It was an ocular disease and refractive co-management care. For me, I feel like SCO did a phenomenal job of preparing me to see patients after, 4 years of school. But I just wanted to be even more confident. I wanted the most random, most weirdest, most scariest thing came into my office. I wanted to be confident and not, run away in fear of how am I going to take care of this patient? I think residency helped prepare me for that. Just seeing crazy stuff over that year definitely groomed me to be a better doctor.
Great, thank you. And then I believe, well, I'll ask, do you have a specialty? And if so, did you identify it before or after optometry school?
As you've heard, I do have a specialty, and I had identified that I wanted to be in pediatrics, that I want to work with kids really before optometry school. But I knew a little bit about vision therapy and rehabilitation, but not a lot. And so I identified that during optometry school, and then pursued that residency.
For myself, I do have a specialty, specialty contact lenses, so scleral lenses, RGP lenses, ortho K lenses, myopia management for kids. That's kind of my specialty per se. I don't think I realized it until actually opening up a private practice and just really trying to differentiate, our services, our offerings compared to, other offices in the area. And I feel like that was an underserved area. And one with the increase of myopia over the next, 20, 25 years is projected. I wanted to be instrumental and at the forefront of, taking care of my patients and offering my little ones the best care possible. But again, I didn't realize it until after graduation.
Thank you. And then what SEO resources did you find most helpful when preparing for your life post school?
Um, all of the things that Dr. Wade talked about, truly. So just to summarize those quickly, it was all of the opportunities through all of the different clubs, the private practice clubs included, but all of the other I did. We haven't talked about, I did SFOSH, which is Student Volunteers in Optometric Service to Humanity, every year that I was a student. And even 1 year after residency, that allowed me to make more connections. So I guess what resources I found most helpful were the immense amount of connections that SCO provides you with, and all of the different platforms that you have to make those connections. They really are strong. They're strong between classes, between faculty, and between students, and then alums and students. I went to meetings, and I went to SCO does a great job of having really big presence at meetings. And so even though I knew I wanted to come back to the West Coast, which is where I'm from, after I went to the conference, the SCO. I went to as many conferences as I could, and I went to the SCO gatherings. And so just all of the connections and meeting as many people as I could and learning from them. That's also part of how I found, discovered my right practice environment. And so really it's just every opportunity to make a connection is what I found most helpful, and how many diverse opportunities SCO provided me with to do that.
Yeah, I found the biggest or best resource for me was just the network of doctors, the network of alumni, the relationships. the continued relationships that, foster even after post-graduation. That was the biggest thing for me. I mentioned State Day earlier. That was a huge resource. The Hayes Center of Excellence is another huge resource. Whether it's, getting a contract or whether it's putting together a business plan, they're always open arms, willing to help you. And I think that at the end of the day, that the alumni and network of doctors, it really boils down to, SCO is just a huge family, and family take care of each other. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for any better.
I just want to tack on to what Dr. Young said just then is that I don't think, gosh, Adam, and we hadn't actually connected in years after graduation, right? And then Dr. Young and I have exchanged multiple emails and messages since we both opened our practices about a variety of things. And that really is, that's what it's about, is that I feel comfortable reaching out to any of my classmates from other years, because it really is a big family, and the truly supportive network is huge. It's the best part of SCO, and something I could feel from the beginning that was real through my time there and afterwards.
Thank you so much. And then my last question, what advice would you offer to students, prospective students, currently applying students, or even those who are already in optometry school, who are unsure of what they want their career to look like after graduation?
I feel like I'm broken record on repeat here, but it is, if you're unsure of what you want your career and life to look like after graduation from optometry school, it is really using all of the connections and opportunities that SCO gives you to just learn more and gather more information. Just soak it all in, experience as many different experiences as you can, reach out and spend a day in different offices, use those tools, use the Hayes Center to put you in contact with various local practices who are willing to have you shadow or observe there, just so that you can see what different practice is like and what different opportunities look like. Just reach out. The connections are there, even if it's not these formal opportunities that have been discussed today. Use the Hayes Center, and all of the faculty at SCO, and try to just get as much experience seeing what the different avenues of practice look like.
I piggyback off of that. You've got a wealth of doctors, a wealth of professionals, a wealth of just knowledge within the buildings at SCO, and just soak it up like a sponge. I would encourage you to, make notes. How do you feel at this very moment? I would write it down and say, where do I see myself post graduation, or 5 years, 10 years from now, and revisit that every year through optometry school and see if that changes. And it's okay if it does change. You'll have some classmates that they come in like, I already got a job. I'm like, dang. And then the opposite, you could be leaving school and not really sure where you want to end up, and that's okay. I think all of us, our class of, I don't know, 120, have all done a different journey. And 10 plus years later, we're all super happy, super all successful. And it worked out at the end of the day. So don't get too caught up in it. It's almost like getting ready for undergraduate school. Like, what major am I going to choose? You'll figure it out. Just give it time. But again, I would push you to, talk, try to, unlock some wisdom from some other doctors, professionals, or professors. Write some notes down, and just keep building upon that so you can figure out at the end of the graduation what step one of your optometric journey might be. And again, you can always pivot and change after that too.
Well, thank you both so much. Now we're going to open it up to questions from our attendees, and these questions are for everyone, Dr. Wade, Dr. Young, or Dr. Schiller. If you could just, for our attendees, use the chat feature or the Q&A feature, and then I'll be able to read those questions out loud, and we'll be able to receive answers. So for any students, please, or attendees, please feel free to drop your questions, and we'll get those addressed. And then while we're waiting for questions, any last thoughts or comments from any of our facilitators, Dr. Wade, Dr. Young, Dr. Schiller?
Well, I'll say thank you or you're to be congratulated for taking the time to actually listen to these type of programs. Again, this is the first step of learning from other ODs about their journey. Everybody's path is unique. There is no right way to do this. There is your right way to do this. And the more information that you can gather as you go through the process, the more people you can hear from. Tina, I think, mentioned a couple of times visiting practices. One of the things I didn't talk about, between first and second year, we have a shadowing contest that we do through the Hayes Center to actually encourage students during that summer that they have off to visit as many practices as they can, because the reality is there are as many ways to practice optometry as there are ODs doing it. And I often tell people, if you've seen one optometric practice, you've seen one optometric practice, because there are different ways to do this. So the more practices, the more types of practices you can visit, the more time you can spend in practices, the more likely it is that you're going to have a more direct path to finding what it is that makes you happy in the profession of optometry.
And
Yes,
Dr.
so
Wade, I think even, oh, sorry.
please go.
Oh, just I think if I can go back to myself at 15 years ago and 11 to 15 years ago, I think for a part of my time, I kind of thought, there's private practice, and then there's these other ways to practice. But then I learned, and then during school, and then after school, within private practice, and even within private practices that are primary care type settings, there's so many different ways to do private practice.
Right.
And that's the part that is so valuable. Those shadowing opportunities are so valuable, because you can find what is where's your best fit. There's so many different ways. And so that I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. I think experience and just learning and exposing yourself to different environments is huge. I kind of, again, this is another way to practice. I was in the corporate world for a minute, and then got promoted to like a managerial situation, where I was able to visit different offices to help them out and make their offices better. But for me, I was using that for my own personal gain of, I like the way this office does this, let me transfer that thought to my book of thoughts for my office as well. Or these are some things that I don't like so much that they did. Let me make sure I keep that at the forefront to make sure, mistakes maybe not to make. You're just building thoughts. You're just building, your desires. You're building what you see yourself and how you can better take care of the patients in your community to better earn their trust. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. But practicing, there's a whole lot of ways. Nowadays, there's the pharmaceutical game, working for companies like Bausch and Lomb or Tarsus or different companies that provide medications to our patients to help them see better and live better lives. You may not want to see patients at all, or whether it's research. Maybe I'm not really a people person. I just like to kind of stay back in the cut and tend to myself and just uh, give my knowledge through research. So it's really just figuring out what's best for you and what's best based on maybe your personality and how you see yourself serving.
And Adam, I think you're right. You made the point that it's not always about learning what you like, but it's a lot of it's learning what you don't like and what you don't want to happen. And I think there's as much opportunity to, when you're visiting practices, that you gain as much information and knowledge by learning what not to do or what doesn't suit your personality or your practice goals than you do by learning what is what you want to do in the profession. Any questions, Avery?
I don't believe so. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Okay.
But Dr. Wade, your email is on screen so students can reach out to you directly. And then
Absolutely.
of course, if you're interested in talking to Dr. Young or Dr. Schiller, you can either speak to us in admissions here at SCO or Dr. Wade, and we'll be able to connect you. But otherwise, I'm going to do a last ask for any questions. Alrighty then, I do not see any additional questions, so I believe with that, that brings us to the end of our webinar. I know we have covered a lot of information today, but I do hope this has been of assistance to all of you as you start on your optometric journey. Just a note, we will not be hosting a webinar in October. Instead, everyone is encouraged to participate in the ASCO virtual fair, where we'll be able to chat live with us and representatives of many other optometry schools from across the country. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to request more information by signing up for our inquiry form. You will receive a personal advisor and a personal brochure with information relevant to your goals and experiences. Thank you so much, Dr. Wade, Dr. Schiller, and Dr. Young for sharing of your time and insight. We hope to see everyone at our next webinar in November, but in the meantime, have a great rest of your week and take care.